My boss gave my hard-earned promotion to his Nepotism-Hire son, Smirking. You should be grateful we let you work here at all. When I complained, he docked my pay and assigned me the worst tasks. At the company meeting, he mocked. You'll never make it anywhere else. I stood up, handed him a USB, and said, That's what HR will decide after seeing this video. I worked for a mid-sized logistics company based in Louisville, Kentucky. We handled commercial freight between Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, and Tennessee, mostly B2B deliveries. The kind of place where the parking lot's always full of box trucks and guys in safety vests, and there's a permanent smell of burnt coffee in the break room. I started there in 2015 as a dispatcher. It wasn't glamorous, but it was solid. I was 29 at the time. No college degree, just a strong work ethic and a lot of warehouse and routing experience from my past jobs. I was willing to work nights, weekends, holidays, whatever it took. I didn't complain, I didn't gossip, I just got things done. By 2018, I had been promoted twice. First to lead dispatcher, then to route supervisor. In 2020, I became senior route manager. It was hard-earned. I wasn't anyone's favorite, but I was reliable. I took the worst routes, dealt with angry clients, drove out myself when drivers called in. When COVID hit and everything went sideways, I basically lived at that place for 3 months just to keep things moving. Management praised me. People came to me with their problems. I fixed things fast and quietly. The operations director at the time retired in early 2023. Everyone, literally everyone, assumed I was the next in line. Even HR told me to update my resume and be ready for an internal interview. I had already trained 3 people under me. I knew all the systems, the software, the vendors, even the legal stuff. I wasn't cocky, just confident. I had earned it. Then came Brantley. My boss Richard's 26-year-old son. He had never worked in logistics before. No experience in transportation, no certifications, no knowledge of DOT regulations. But he got hired as a project consultant, and was suddenly sitting in on management meetings, asking dumb questions like, Why don't we just use drones for rural deliveries? He was always vaping, always interrupting, always late. He acted like he was doing us a favor by showing up. I figured he was just riding it out until he got bored and moved on. I was wrong. 3 months before the operations director role was supposed to be filled, Brantley started shadowing me. I was told to give him the full download on how our department ran. I thought I was mentoring him. I didn't realize I was handing over my own job. One Monday, I was called into Richard's office. He was leaning back like he always did, feet up on the edge of his desk, acting like he was doing me a favor by talking to me directly. We're going in a different direction for the ops director role, he said, not even looking me in the eye. I was silent. He went on. We're bringing in someone with a more innovative vision. A fresher perspective. I already knew. I didn't need to ask. Then he looked me dead in the face and said, You should be grateful we let you work here at all. I swear to God I didn't even know how to respond. I just nodded, walked out, and sat in my car for 20 minutes with the engine running. I felt like I'd been punched. 8 years. For that. Things got worse after that. Much worse. Brantley officially became my boss. He didn't bother learning how anything worked. Instead, he micromanaged everything he didn't understand. He moved people around for no reason, delayed shipments because he had a gut feeling, and once canceled a whole freight route because the driver's vibe was off. That driver had a clean record for 10 years and was 2 years from retirement. Then came the punishment. I got assigned the worst routes. The ones we all knew were chaotic and unpredictable. The ones with narrow delivery windows, bad roads, and angry clients. Then they docked my pay by $400 a month. No explanation. When I brought it up to HR, they just said, Budgeting changes. No one else got docked. I was told not to question assignments, even when they made no sense. I started getting written up for things I didn't do. At one point, I was accused of missing a delivery window that didn't even exist in the system logs. Brantley literally edited the timestamps in the scheduling software. He thought I wouldn't notice. When I asked him why he was doing this, he said, and I quote, You're not a team player anymore. You're lucky I haven't fired you yet. Then came the worst part. At an all-hands meeting, everyone from office staff to drivers was there. He decided to do a presentation on the future of logistics. It was all corporate buzzwords, half of it stolen from a TED Talk. Then, in the middle of it, he made a joke about dinosaurs who think loyalty equals leadership. People laughed nervously. Then he looked at me and said, in front of the entire company, Some of you still think you're irreplaceable. Hate to break it to you, But you'll never make it anywhere else. This is probably the best job you'll ever have. I didn't say a word. I just stared at him. But I had already started building my case. For months, I had been documenting everything. I had saved emails, messages, and even started using a little keychain audio recorder whenever I had one-on-ones. Check your state's laws. Mine allows one-party consent. I had recordings of Brantley talking about how he hated old union guys and wanted to clean house. I had a recording of him mocking a female coworker's weight. I had a screen recording of him approving an illegal route override that led to a driver getting a $600 fine. But the best was a video from our own security cam footage. Brantley, vaping in the server room, next to an open electrical panel. When the IT guy warned him, Brantley called him a glorified nerd and walked out laughing. That video alone would have been enough to get him fired. But I wanted everything on that USB to be airtight. So I compiled it all. Screenshots. Audio. Video. HR complaints. Slack messages. Everything labeled, everything timestamped. I made 3 copies, one on a USB, one in cloud storage, and one on an encrypted drive at home. And then I waited. I didn't go to HR privately. I knew from the start they were weak. They didn't want conflict. But the CEO? He paid attention to public embarrassment. So I picked my moment. We had a quarterly company-wide meeting. Executives, team leads, warehouse supervisors, everyone was there or dialed in via Zoom. Brantley got up there, all smug, trying to lead another vision talk. That's when I stood up, walked to the front, and handed a USB stick to the CEO and the HR director. Everyone went quiet. Brantley looked confused. I looked him straight in the face and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, I think HR will decide what happens next. Then I walked out. Just left. Didn't even take my laptop. Drove home in silence. That was 2 weeks ago. Still no word on what happened next. I expected fallout. I expected chaos. But I didn't expect silence. For the next few days, nothing happened. No calls. No emails. No texts. I kept refreshing my inbox like a lunatic. My work account was disabled, but my personal? Nothing. It was like I didn't exist. Then, on the 3rd day, I got a text from Julie, our warehouse coordinator. Julie. Yo. They pulled Brantley into a private meeting with legal and IT. He looked like he saw a ghost. What did you do? I didn't answer. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know what to say. I was still waiting for official word. I had dropped a bomb, now I was waiting to see who got hit. That night I got a call. Unknown number. I almost didn't pick up. Is this me? Yes. This is Claire from legal. We'd like to set up a meeting regarding your materials. She sounded calm, but I could hear it in her voice. They were scrambling. We scheduled a Zoom meeting for the next morning. I didn't sleep. Just reviewed everything I had submitted, made notes, and waited. When the meeting started, Claire was there with 2 other people, someone from HR and someone from an outside legal firm. They didn't ask many questions. Mostly just asked me to confirm what I had provided. The HR person looked like she wanted to cry. The outside lawyer took a lot of notes and kept saying, "This is extensive." I didn't lie. I didn't exaggerate. Just told them the truth. At the end of the call, Claire said, "We'll be in touch very soon." I still wasn't sure what soon meant, but I figured the wheels were finally turning. 2 days later, Julie called again. He's gone. Like, not just suspended. They wiped his profile off the company's system. No more Brantley T. in the org chart. His badge is deactivated. I heard Richard is freaking out. I didn't say anything. I just sat there, holding the phone. I should have felt satisfied. Instead, I felt numb. Then Julie lowered her voice. But get this. Richard says you're the one who hacked the system. He's saying you faked the video. HR is investigating you now. And just like that, the whole thing flipped again. I thought I had delivered the final blow. But Richard wasn't done. He was doubling down. Next thing I know, I get served a formal notice. They were conducting an internal investigation into potential misuse of confidential systems and fabrication of materials. Basically, they were accusing me of falsifying evidence and breaking into company systems. It didn't make sense. I hadn't accessed anything I wasn't already cleared to see. I never tampered with files. I didn't even edit the video. Just downloaded the archived footage from our shared IT drive, something any manager could do. Still, the notice had language like breach of trust and potential grounds for termination. So I lawyered up. I called a labor attorney in Lexington, Someone recommended to me by a friend who went through a wrongful termination case. The guy didn't waste time. After I gave him the rundown and showed him what I had, he said, "If they try to fire you, we'll bury them in court." But he also gave me a warning. "They're trying to intimidate you. Classic move. They're hoping you'll back down and walk away quietly. Don't." I didn't. Instead, we sent them a notice, a legal one, outlining retaliation, threats, and potential liability if they proceeded with their false claims. That's when things started cracking. 3 more employees reached out to me, quietly. One had witnessed Brantley forge a DOT compliance report. Another had audio of him making threats to a female employee after she rejected his lunch invite. And one guy, our senior mechanic, had emails showing that Richard himself ordered a cover-up of a failed brake inspection to keep a contract on schedule. All of it documented. All of it ugly. So we started talking. A small, scared, furious group of us. Every single one of us had kept our heads down for years. And now? We were done. I passed everything I had to my lawyer. He started assembling a timeline. We even looped in an external investigator through a whistleblower protection agency. Suddenly, it wasn't just about Brantley. It was about systemic negligence, discrimination, retaliation, and corporate malpractice. And still, no word from the company. Until the next town hall. This one wasn't like the last. It was weird. Quiet. Scheduled last minute. Attendance was mandatory. I joined the Zoom, along with about 60 others. Faces I knew well. Some looked tired. Some looked angry. But everyone was waiting. The CEO came on camera. Tight-lipped. No jokes. No small talk. "I want to address some recent issues regarding leadership decisions and internal complaints." No names. No details. Just vague promises that they were reviewing concerns and taking them seriously. Then someone spoke up. It was Carmen, from accounting. She didn't even turn her camera on. "Are you going to explain why someone who raised serious safety concerns is now being accused of hacking?" Silence. Then another voice. "Dan, our fleet coordinator. Yeah, are you gonna tell us why you're investigating my name, instead of the guy who vaped next to a live panel?" Then someone else. "We all saw the footage. It wasn't edited." And then, one by one, people started speaking up. I didn't plan it. I didn't ask for it. But suddenly it wasn't just me. It was dozens of voices. They were all tired. Tired of being treated like dirt. Tired of nepotism. Tired of pretending. Richard wasn't on the call. Brantley was long gone. The CEO sat there. Frozen. Like the whole house of cards had finally come down on top of him. He said, "We'll follow up shortly." Then he ended the call. That was 4 days ago. Still no official word. But yesterday, Claire from legal called again. "Can we schedule another meeting?" I asked. "About what?" She paused, then said, "Everything." The second meeting with legal was scheduled for a Thursday morning. Same lawyer, same HR rep, same outside counsel. I was ready, files lined up, my attorney looped in, and my mic muted unless I had to speak. But the tone this time was different. No one looked confident. The HR rep kept shifting in her seat. Claire, the company lawyer, had papers in front of her, but she wasn't looking at them. "We've reviewed the evidence," she started. "And it's clear the materials you provided were authentic." I didn't say anything. I just nodded. Let them talk. "We deeply regret the confusion surrounding the internal notice. It was a procedural misstep. There is no current investigation against you." My lawyer asked flatly, "Will that be documented?" She hesitated. "Yes. In writing." And then she dropped something I didn't see coming. "We'd like to offer you reinstatement with back pay, along with a revised title and reporting structure. The operations director role is no longer occupied." I stared at the screen. My lawyer jumped in. "Why is it no longer occupied? I want specifics." And here came the twist. Richard, the same guy who gave me that "you should be grateful" speech, was suspended pending an external investigation. Not just for how he mishandled complaints, but for something bigger. Apparently, during the legal review of my evidence, they found that Brantley had been funneling company funds into a fake vendor account. The account was under a shell LLC registered in Florida. He created it in late 2022, right after he joined. Invoices were small enough to fly under the radar, but over 9 months, he billed the company for over $112,000 in consulting services that never existed. And Richard? He signed off on every payment. Whether he knew it was fake or just didn't care was still unclear. But the paper trail didn't lie. I had uncovered it by accident. One of the screenshots I submitted, a Slack message, had a PDF attached in the background. I hadn't noticed it, but legal did. They zoomed in. The invoice number matched one from the fake vendor. They pulled records. Everything unraveled. That's when things got real. Now the company wasn't just dealing with a harassment complaint, they were facing a fraud scandal. The outside legal rep made it clear. We are treating this as a criminal matter. The appropriate authorities have been notified. It was the first time anyone used the word criminal out loud. But then, another twist. That same day, I got a call from a blocked number. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity won. "Hey, it's Brantley." I froze. "Before you hang up," he said quickly, "I just want to say, you don't understand what you're messing with." I didn't respond. He continued, "This wasn't just me. You think I did this alone? You think my dad didn't know? There's more than one name on those payments, man." He sounded nervous. Not cocky like before. Paranoid. Then he said something that hit me in the gut. "Ask legal about Evergreen Supply Company." Click. The call dropped. Evergreen Supply Company. I had never heard that name before. I called my lawyer. Told him everything. He got dead quiet and said, "We need to follow up on that now." Within 24 hours, he got a tip from someone in accounting who used to work with Julie. Evergreen Supply Company wasn't real. It was another fake vendor. But this one? It had been on the books for 5 years. Not just under Richard, but under other names. Other signatures. VP-level people. This wasn't just Brantley screwing around with a fake LLC. This was part of a long-term embezzlement scheme. Someone had been laundering money through the company using fake vendors, fake invoices, fake maintenance reports. The works. Richard might have been involved. Brantley definitely was. But now, the CEO's name was being whispered too. And guess what? The minute the fraud talk started circulating, the CEO went radio silent. No internal memos. No meetings. No PR spin. Just vanished. Then Julie sent me a message on Signal. "Julie, there's a rumor going around." CEO knew. Brantley was just a pawn. "Don't trust anyone who calls you from the company." She followed up with a Dropbox link. Inside? A scanned PDF. An internal memo from 2020. It showed a $17,500 expedited logistics consultation. Signed off by the CEO, and billed to Evergreen Supply Company. I forwarded it to my lawyer without blinking. He called back 10 minutes later. "This is no longer just a whistleblower case. This is a federal-level fraud investigation now." I was in the middle of a firestorm, and I hadn't even meant to start it. Now I wasn't just the guy who exposed Brantley. I was the guy who might bring down an entire executive team. And I had no idea how much higher this thing went. The moment it turned into a federal investigation, everything changed. I wasn't just talking to company lawyers anymore. I was now dealing with investigators from the U.S. Department of Transportation and eventually, the FBI. My lawyer advised I limit direct communication with anyone from the company, and that included friends still working there. But information still made its way to me. Julie texted again. "Julie. They're doing an emergency all-staff meeting on Monday. CEO is finally showing his face." She followed it with, "You might want to log in." So I did. Monday, 10 a.m. Zoom link, same as always. I joined from home, mic muted, camera off. There were almost 80 people logged in. Some names I hadn't seen in a while. People who had left years ago, back now because of what was happening. Then the CEO appeared. Robert Daniels. The guy who always acted like he was above all the chaos. Expensive suits, clean hairline, cold voice. He looked rough. No tie. Bags under his eyes. No confidence this time. "I'm here today to address the recent issues regarding operational misconduct, financial irregularities, and employee concerns." He paused, like the words were acid in his throat. "I want to make it clear that we are cooperating fully with all investigations." But then, just as he was wrapping up his polished, lawyer-approved statement, someone unmuted. It was Dan, the fleet guy. "You knew about Evergreen Supply Company, didn't you?" The CEO blinked. "Excuse me? Evergreen. The fake vendor. You signed off on the invoices." Silence. Total silence. Then Carmen from accounting unmuted. "I have a PDF from 2020 with your signature." Dan followed. "There's more. There's a pattern going back years. We all know. You let your buddy Richard bring in his kid and funnel money like it was Monopoly." CEO tried to cut in. "This is not the place." But people were unmuting left and right. Why'd you try to blame my name for hacking? You ignored HR complaints for years. You threatened drivers with write-ups if they asked for safety checks. It wasn't a meeting anymore, it was a courtroom. A boiling pot that finally overflowed. Then, the screen changed. Someone screen-shared a document. It was from 2019. An internal memo discussing offshore supplier reconciliation. A list of payments. One of the entries. $12,750, Evergreen Supply, Expedited Delivery Strategy, approved, R. Daniels. His signature was right there. He stared at the screen. Then he sighed. A long, broken, defeated sigh. I tried to keep the company afloat during a hard time, he said. We were losing contracts. I made decisions I had to make. No, you chose to do this, someone said. You let us take the fall. Brantley was a shield, Carmen added. But this whole thing started with you. That's when Richard suddenly joined the call. Nobody expected him. His name popped up, R. Thompson. Yeah, he used his middle name for show, and he turned his camera on. He was sitting in what looked like a hotel room. Don't pin this all on me, he said. You signed off on everything. The CEO snapped. You brought in your son to cover your own mess. You asked me to, Richard yelled. You said if we kept it internal, no one would look too close. Everyone went quiet again. And then, Brantley joined. He wasn't on camera. Just audio. I was just doing what I was told, he said. His voice was shaking. They made it sound like it was normal. Like it was part of how the business worked. You vaped in the server room, Brantley, someone muttered. I know, he said, almost crying now. I didn't think anyone would actually get hurt. I thought it was just money, just moving numbers around. He sounded like a kid trying to explain cheating on a math test. Not like a guy who helped defraud a company and almost caused the server fire. And then Richard said it. I did it to protect the company. And yes, I told him to cover it up. I told him what to sign. I told him how to make the LLC. You want the truth? Fine. It was me. It started with me. The CEO leaned forward. And I let it happen. Because I didn't want another round of layoffs. So yes, I signed those papers too. There it was. Two grown men, one trying to protect his son, the other trying to protect his image, confessing, live, in front of almost the entire company. Then Brantley, still on audio, just whispered. I didn't think I'd get caught. I didn't think he'd have proof. And that's when I unmuted. I said, you told me I'd never make it anywhere else. You said I should be grateful. Now look at you. No one responded. Richard looked down. The CEO rubbed his forehead. Brantley disconnected. And then I ended the call. I didn't wait for whatever was next. But over the next few days, the fallout began. Brantley and Richard were both formally charged. Fraud, falsifying business records, and wire fraud among the counts. I wasn't even the main witness by then. Others had come forward too. HR staff, accounting, former execs. The CEO resigned quietly. Julie told me people at the company cried when they found out. Not because they were sad, but because they had been carrying all this weight for years, thinking no one would ever speak up. I was offered the operations director job again. I turned it down. I couldn't go back. That place had drained me. Even if they cleaned house, it would never feel the same. So I took the settlement. Bigger than I expected. 6 figures. I used some to move. Bought a house outside of Nashville. Got a quieter job with a smaller team. No drama. No politics. Just honest work. Julie got promoted. Carmen moved on to a nonprofit. Dan started his own logistics business and said I always have a spot if I want in. I still think about that day on Zoom. The moment everything broke. I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't handed over that USB. Would Brantley be VP now? Would the fraud still be going? Maybe. But I don't feel proud. Not exactly. I feel clean. Like I finally took a shower after being covered in someone else's dirt for too long. I learned that loyalty can be a trap when it's one-sided. I learned that silence protects the wrong people. And I learned that even if the whole system is rigged, one honest move can bring it down. I don't know what Brantley's doing now. Or Richard. Or the CEO. I just know I sleep better than all 3 of them. That's enough for me.